Finding a wedding photographer can be a very hard process. There are so many photographers in your area, and the real question is, who is the photographer for you? As a wedding photographer myself, I want to help you with finding a wedding photographer, starting out with 5 questions you should always be asking your wedding photographer before you hire them. What's up? I'm John from John Benceford Photography. I'm a wedding photographer and have been for 8 years now. I've met with many couples and booked many couples and shot so many beautiful weddings. And one thing that's probably the hardest for couples is knowing what they should ask their photographer when they first meet. Now, there are a whole bunch of lists online that you can find on like The Knot and Wedding Wire, and those lists are okay. However, coming from an actual wedding photography background, I can tell you that most of those questions actually don't really matter, and a lot of them don't get to the things that are going to be most important for you as a couple. So let's talk about what I think are the 5 most important questions you should be asking your wedding photographer before hiring them. Question number 1 is asking them about their style and approach. This is hands down going to be the most important because it's going to let you know if you're compatible with your wedding photographer or not. Make sure you go onto their website, see their photos, and first make sure that you absolutely love everything about their photos, the style of the photos, the colors of the photos, and just how the couples look in the photo. Then ask them about their style. Ask them what they call their style. Ask them why their style is the way it is. On top of this, ask them what their approach is to get these photos. The reason we want to do this is because it's going to show how hands-on your photographer is or is not. If you want a super Vogue magazine posed out wedding, you need to make sure that your photographer is that type of photographer. You can get it by looking at their photos, but you also need to hear them talk about it. Or if you want a photographer who's going to sit back in the back, leave you alone, and just take 1000% candid photos, again, you need to know that that is your photographer. On top of style and approach, you'll learn things about how they edit as well. For instance, some photographers will do heavy edits and touch-ups and get rid of blemishes and pimples and all kinds of things. They can even make you lose a couple of pounds in a photo, whereas other photographers won't do that at all. And neither way is bad. Me personally, I like to make you look as natural as you look, but the best natural in the photos. So I do touch up, I do get rid of some blemishing, but I don't do any super heavy edits because I want it to look natural like you. So style and approach is the number 1 first question to ask. Question number 2 is, are you insured? And this is very important. This is going to show who are the real photographers and who are not. It is very easy nowadays for anyone to pick up a decent camera, start a website, and basically say that they are a wedding photographer. However, running a business is very different than just taking photos. And being insured is one of those things that shows that your photographer is serious. They are a real professional and they're running a business, not just taking photos. Even if that photographer has absolutely amazing photos, if they're not running it like a business, trust me, they're going to be a headache for you, especially for something as important as a wedding day. Make sure you ask that they're insured, and when they tell you yes, make sure that they're telling you how much they're insured for. That shows you that they know what they're talking about, not just like, oh yeah, I'm insured. Duh, yeah, go ahead and book me. You don't want that. You want to really know that they have your best interest in mind and they're protecting you and themselves. Question number 3 is, do you work with an assistant or a second photographer? Now, I personally do not think a second photographer is the most necessary thing to have on a wedding day. However, it's really good to know if they'll be working with a second photographer or not. Mainly because this can change how your day is going to flow and when everyone needs to get ready and when photos are going to happen. I personally do about 80% of my weddings by myself, and I'm able to handle that. However, we have to run the days in a very specific way so that I have time to get photos of everything, including the reception area, the family photos, the couple photos, both bride and groom getting ready. It takes a lot to get all of that together when it's me, myself. It works and it's fine. However, the timeline has to work exactly how I need it to. Also, asking if they have an assistant or a second photographer will let you know how many vendors you have to feed at the end of the night. It is very important to make sure you're getting a meal for your vendors, but if you don't know how many vendors there's going to be, then you might be missing plates. So make sure they tell you all the people they'll have with them. Not just them in a second, but if they have an assistant or a videographer or someone else coming with them, make sure you know all of that as well. Question number 4 is hands down the most important question to ask, which no one ever talks about, but what is your backup process? This is something most couples do not think about. All they're thinking about is the day of the wedding, the photos being taken, how is the day of the wedding going to run, and how smooth is it going to be. But the photographer's job lasts past your wedding day. The moment we're done taking our photos, we need to make backups of the photos so we don't lose those photos. The last thing you want is your special wedding day being lost because the photographer didn't take the time to actually back up their photos. I have a pretty long backup process, and if you want to see what looks like a good professional backup process, definitely check out my video up above. It is geared more towards education for photographers, but I think it'll be very beneficial for you as a couple to see what a backup process looks like for a photographer. But while they tell you about their backup process, if they don't have a dual card slot on their camera, which means their camera takes 2 SD cards, every time they take one photo, that photo is on both SD cards, meaning they already have a backup at your wedding day. So if they're not shooting on a dual card slot, if they're not immediately coming home and backing up to their computer and also an external hard drive, and if also they're not using some kind of cloud backup, I would be a little wary of that photographer. Now, not saying that they're not good, and again, different photographers are at different levels. When I started, my backup process wasn't that great either. But now that I'm in 8 years deep, I have so much redundancy on my couple's photos. So just make sure that you know that your photographer is making backups, know that they're using like a cloud backup system, and ask them what their process is to make sure that nothing happens and then they're coming back to you like, sorry, I lost your photos. That's not what you want for your wedding day. The last important question is, can I see a full wedding gallery? Now, the reason this question is very important is because this will show the photographer's style throughout the day. It is easy for us on our website to show the best photos, but sometimes we don't show the family photos because we don't want to put everyone's family just on the internet like that. Or maybe we don't show a lot of photos from the reception. Again, we're showing our best work on the website so that you can see how amazing we are, but seeing a full day is going to show you everything and all of the little moments that may matter to you even more than the nice family photos that you would have. Also, when you ask to see a full gallery, make sure you ask to see a full gallery from a venue that's very similar to yours. Now, I'm not a big fan of the question, have you shot at the venue that I'm going to be at? I believe any professional photographer can handle any space that they've never been to. However, having photos of a full day gallery from a venue that's very similar to yours is helpful. This will show the style that they're able to get from a venue with the same look. So again, if you have a venue that's brick interior and pillars, make sure that they give you a full gallery from another wedding that's also brick interior and pillars. This should help you make your final decision on your wedding photographer and make sure that you understand exactly how they're shooting and approaching the wedding day. These questions are very important, and I would say definitely make sure that when you meet with your photographer to always ask these 5 questions. Let me know in the comments below if there were any other questions that you asked your wedding photographer or are planning to ask someone you're meeting with so that all the other couples watching this can learn about the best questions to ask their potential wedding photographer. Also, again, I myself am a real wedding photographer. I know you see me here on YouTube, but I also shoot weddings. If you want to see me shooting full wedding day videos, definitely make sure to check out my video, and also in the comments below, get in touch with me. I would love to hear from you and also be a part of your wedding day.